Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is a good game. That's not a very controversial take. So it's no surprise that there have been some developers that have taken inspiration from such an iconic franchise. Are any of them any good though? The short answer is yes, but I wanted to see for myself by diving into some of these games. And of course, sharing some hidden gems that you may not have heard of before. So if you're brand new here, welcome to the channel. Otherwise, welcome back. I like to play video games and talk about them, make reviews and silly jokes. And today I'm playing through every single Paper Mario-like that I could find that is actually kind of halfway decent. For this list I tried to cultivate, I chose a group of games that best mimicked Paper Mario in both art style and gameplay. So while a game like Craftaway has similar aesthetics, it's a roguelike, so it doesn't necessarily play the same way. So please don't leave a comment saying that I missed the South Park games, because they don't technically fit this criteria. And you and I both know that that's not the same thing. Additionally, I might miss a few games that do fit into this category that just escaped my vision. And if one of those games is your favorite of all time and I missed it, I am so sorry. Please forgive me, I will not do it again. I might do it again. These are the big four that I picked out, for better or for worse. But before we get into these though, I want to shout out a few honorable mentions. First, we have Seahorse Saga, which by all definition fits exactly this type of game I'm covering. But unfortunately, it's been postponed indefinitely. The creators fell victim to having full-time jobs and families and can't dedicate any more time onto this project. And although rough around the edges, all the pieces are there for what could have been a great spiritual successor to Paper Mario. A couple others are Signy and Mino, Against All Gods, and Scrap Story, which very much leaned more into the paper theme than some of these others. Both haven't released yet and don't have exact timelines for when they will, so unfortunately they just missed the window for this video. But if they look interesting to you, they both have demos on Steam right now, so feel free to go check them out. But without further ado, let's jump into our first Paper Mario-like that I'm sure many people who are fans of the genre have absolutely heard of at this point. Matter of fact, I got it playing up on the TV right now. Bug Tales. I mean Fables. Bug Fables. Is it too late to restart the recording? I'm just gonna go with it. Isn't it kind of ironic how some of the best games are based around bugs? Bug Fables, Hollow Knight, A Bug's Life for the PlayStation 1, Fallout New Vegas. And I know what you're thinking. The joke is that it's a buggy game, right? Because it is, but there's actually bugs in it, so it counts. It's kind of a double whammy if you think about it. But before I break this game down, I just gotta put it out there, okay? I'm sorry, but I have to say it. Why did they make some of these bugs look sexy? Like, some of them are just straight up thick, or their patterns make it look like they're wearing a one piece with thigh highs. It's like a game that was made for bug furries. Is that a thing? If it is, that lady from B-Movie is absolutely one of them. Look, all I'm trying to say is that I don't have to look up Bug Fables on DeviantArt to know exactly what I'm gonna find there. Okay, let's get into the game. Bug Fables is a turn-based adventure game where you play as some bugs heading through a bug world to save other bugs. Yeah, it sounds simple, but I mean, like, that's pretty much it, right? It follows our three heroes, V, the bratty but excitable bee, Kabu, the timid and grounded beetle, and Leaf, the magical moth who always refers to themselves as we. Which maybe it's because they see themselves as non-binary, but I like to think that it's more like a Venom situation.
For the last time, Parker! Our pronouns are they, them. Not because we are non-binary, but because we are literally two
dudes. They're two dudes. I don't want to get demonetized. The unlikely trio banded together to create Team Snakemouth and set out on a journey not just to prove themselves as true explorers, but to save all of Bulgaria. And every time I typed Bulgaria into my notes, Google kept trying to change it to Bulgaria without prompting me. Like, it would just do it. Excuse me, Google, please don't touch my Word document without my consent. Thank you. The actual overarching story runs pretty deep though. There's an ultimate power called the Everlasting Sapling that bugs from all over the kingdom are trying to find, using the artifacts found in each chapter. Whether it's the Wasp King who wants to harness its strength to rule over all, or the Ant Queen who's following her mother's request and trying to destroy it so no one can misuse its power. There's some twists and turns along the way, but we'll get into a couple of those in a bit. Bug Fables doesn't just stop there with its complexity, since each character has intricate backstories that you can explore further in each of their side quests. Leaf discovers the truth about their identity by searching the caverns they were found in, and ironically enough, it kind of was a Venom situation. I won't give too much of that story away because that is best experienced for yourself, but just know that there is no way I can look at Leaf the same way ever again. V has a not so lovely reunion with her sister as she tries to consolate their relationship by running all over the kingdom a la Fetch Quest, and Kabu takes down a giant centipede and mourns the loss of his old master. And I didn't even go back to check out this cutscene until after I finished the game, but it hits hard. Though this isn't Paper Mario-like due only to its looks, the gameplay strongly resembles a lot of what we know from Paper Mario 2. The turn-based battles, the small numbers so damage scaling feels both more powerful and more terrifying, the badges that they call medals, the leveling up system, and of course, the skill-based attack patterns. I mean, this one is literally the hammer attack, but instead of holding left, you hold down. They even copied the part in Thousand Year Door where you have to take the window to go outside in order to make it to the other side of the room. Coincidence?
I think not!
One particular change Bug Fables made was this option for you to choose between mashing and button sequences. I am the person who is terrible at mashing. Like, I'm losing to the easy computers in Mario Party at the mashing mini games. I'm that bad. So it's nice to instead change some of the moves to press buttons in the right order, and it's a great accessibility option for maybe those with disabilities. Except for this eating minigame. They still make you mash here. And I hate it. There's a large variety of moves to choose from that you learn throughout the game as you progress, or by unlocking them after completing side quests. But the best one by far is Frozen Drill, and it's not even close. That did like 17 damage, are you kidding? I will not be taking questions. I've decided Frozen Drill is just the best move, and I use it to defeat every single boss. It's too good! And this is probably as good of a time as any to talk about the music. Because let me tell you, the entire game full of bangers. Every piece is designed to complement your surroundings and set the tone of your journey. From the upbeat jingle of the outskirts, to the anxious drum beats in the swamplands, over to the boisterous trumpets that command your attention in the Wasp Kingdom, to the theme that plays in the final battle that both hypes you up, but also lets you know that this is the time to lock in and take things seriously. And I really mean it, I died on that boss like a lot. One of the tracks is literally titled "Oh No Wasps," and it's probably what my brain actually sounds like when I see a wasp. There's almost 100 different pieces of orchestrated music in this game, and every single one of them is incredible. That paired with the rich environments that you go to in every single area is a big reason the game is so immersive. It's a bug world, so you expect typical bug things like grass, leaves, berries, and such, but you get so sucked into this world that you kind of forget that this is technically our world too. You look through a telescope in Chapter 3 and see that this is all taking place in a backyard. You travel through a submarine that's probably just a puddle somewhere, and the final chapter exclusively takes place inside someone's kitchen.
Look at them all, everywhere. Oh my good God. Look at the cockroaches.
It's simultaneously familiar, but also providing a new perspective at the same time. But my absolute favorite part of the game has to be the battles, because they're both tough and fun at the same time. Every storyline boss is built differently with their own quirks and difficulties. I mentioned before the final boss took me a few attempts, and as it should. I feel like it's not a good final boss if you beat it on the first try. You gotta die to that sucker a few times and learn what you gotta do. That's a real final boss right there. I know that like everybody hates how much he heals himself, but like that's part of it, guys. Like, lock in. Plus, there's plenty of side bosses to keep the challenges rolling. Matter of fact, there's some story bosses that were so tough, I thought they were secret side bosses. Like, look at this honey boss and tell me it wouldn't surprise you if this was a secret boss. He got secret boss written all over him. Okay, but the actual secret bosses are pretty fun and imaginative too. But if that's too easy for you and you really want a challenge, at the very beginning of the game, you're offered a hard mode medal that you can wear that makes every fight in the game even more difficult. If you thought the Chapter 3 boss was hard, so did I. I'm glad we're on the same page because I barely lived that sucker with like 1 HP. I couldn't imagine what that would be like on hard mode. But beating each individual boss on hard mode is tied to its own trophy and achievement, so if you want to complete the game 100%, you're gonna have to. But let's say you do want to get all the achievements and you weren't wearing the medal your first time through. Luckily, you don't need to go replay the whole game again on hard mode. They have a dedicated room in the Beehive for replaying bosses, so you can go back and try as many times as you'd like. Get some practice in, or even use it to get the hard mode trophies. And did someone say Pit of 100 Trials?
No, that was all in your head.
Because there's also a Pit of 100 Trials in Bug Fables too. Except it's 50 in this game. But it's basically the same thing. If you complete all 50 trials, you're rewarded with a team ribbon that you can later put on your pet Chompy. Look how cute he is! And you get a Hollow Cloak medal that gives your characters a cool holographic appearance. So it's well worth doing. If I had to choose any part of the game that falls short of Paper Mario, it would probably be the smaller character roster. You do get these 3 wonderful characters to play as and can swap between them freely, but it is only these 3 characters. Unless you get Chompy, then it's 4. In Paper Mario, as well as many of the other games you're about to see, you get a whole roster of characters to swap through as your buddy. However, to Bug Fables' credit, you do get all 3 of them in every single battle as opposed to the regular 2. And this provides more strategy and utility. All 3 of them have their unique identities in battle, which help in different scenarios. V has to knock down flying enemies, Kabu is the only one who can get enemies to come out of their defensive stances and shells, and then Leaf can remove enemies that burrow underground. And they all work off of each other so well. Tie that with the vast amount of medals and items that you can use for more intricate battle strategies, and you have a very well fleshed out game here. So that's barely a con in my opinion. There are so many more pros, and I'm gonna touch upon some of them here. Like the art style that does a beautiful job of blending the Paper Mario-like aesthetics with its simple shapes. It only adds details where necessary and keeps the rest simple and clean. I also love that while the puzzles and the battles are both well made, the balance between them never feels too overwhelming one way or the other. There's just enough of both throughout the whole game. But let's say that you missed out on some of the puzzles or side quests and you want to go back and do them. One of the best features that they added was the Bug Me Not medal, which makes it so you can't be attacked in the overworld, so you're not constantly running into a bunch of meaningless battles when you're running around post-game just trying to complete the rest of your quests. And I especially love how many different little secrets and Easter eggs they sprinkle in all over this game. Did you know if you make your file name Pushrock, it turns every character into the game into this one beetle from outside the Golden Settlement? And I really mean it, like every single one. Except for some of the bosses, because that would just be weird. But that's just one of the many mysteries this game has to uncover. I don't have time to go over all of them, but they're out there, trust me. I definitely won't mention the secret worm minigame that if you get 30 worms, it gives you a secret code that's for something secret. I'll let you guys figure that one out for yourselves. But there is just so much to do in this game. You can fill out your cookbook by cooking and combining different items. You can find and discover every enemy and complete the bestiary. Did I say that right? Because I always keep thinking it's bestiary, like it's a Pokedex or something, but it looks like it's spelled bestiary. I don't know. I'm trying my best here. You can follow the main story, do one of the 60 side quests, fight over a dozen optional bosses, or just play knockoff Flappy Bird. Bug Fables is easily one of the best Paper Mario likes, and I would even say it beats out some of the actual Paper Mario games in my book. And it's not just me. The community loves this game so much, they made a Bug Fables Plus mod that enhances the entire game with new medals, enemies, side quests, and bosses. So it's definitely worth giving a shot. But that's Bug Fables. Honestly, a terrific game. I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10. But that's just the start, because we still have 3 more games to go through, so buckle in. Boo! Did I scare you? Because this game sure scared me. Not in like a good way either. In like a kind of way. This is the Outbound Ghost, and it's probably one of the bunch that's the least like Paper Mario. But it's still enough like Paper Mario where it belongs on the list, so just let me show you what I mean. So for all intents and purposes, it has flat paper-like characters in a sprawling 3D world with some overworld puzzles and turn-based combat. It's the details that shake everything up and make it objectively worse. Like, why does the whole game look like it has the piss yellow AI generated filter over everything? Okay, but besides that initial reaction, I do have a few criticisms. But before we get into that, I do want to shout out YouTube for sending me one of these posters celebrating 20 years of YouTube. Yay! There's only about 1,900 of these made, so I got one of those 1,900, and I'm gonna put it right here on my wall. See, there it is. Yay! Right there. Can you see it? No. It's there, trust me. I could not have picked a worse place to put that. So anyway, the Outbound Ghost. First off, it's the only other Paper Mario-like to not only use 2 characters in battle. In the Outbound Ghost, you can have up to 4 characters in your party. These characters are called figments, which are literally just figments of your ghost's imagination, and they're all based on different emotions. There's some like regret, camaraderie, callousness, trust, and solitude. Just to name a few, because those are the only ones I really used, but there's like over 30 of them in the game. Like, that's kind of an insane roster. With so many to mix and match in your lineup, they had to give some uniqueness, right? And they tend to fall into more generalized RPG categories. Regret and solitude are the DPS, camaraderie is the support, and callousness is the tank, each with their own specialized abilities to complement their roles. Like how camaraderie can heal and revive, callousness can redirect damage taken from other allies onto himself, and solitude has a move that has a chance to give him a follow-up turn, and I abused this attack 4 times in a row to beat really annoying bosses. I'm just saying, Lucky Barrage is the best move in the game. Hands down, no competition. Speaking of moves though, since there's dozens of unique characters, you'd assume that there's dozens of unique moves, right? But you want to guess how many there actually are? Guess. It's 1. There is 1 move in this game, and it's to time the marker as it moves to the middle of the bar. What differentiates them is that there's different patterns and speeds in which the marker moves. But it really is just time the marker, which is too bad because all of these other games that I'm reviewing have a variety of unique skill-based attacks. And then there's the Outbound Ghost, and it's just bar. Then top it all off with large scaling numbers, so damage numbers go into the hundreds and health numbers go over 1,000. And now all you really have is a reskin version of Final Fantasy IV for the DS. It lost the charm of small digestible numbers and fell in line with every other turn-based RPG, removing most of the uniqueness that these Paper Mario-likes have. The game also falls short in the fact that there's just 0 usable items in battle. Like none. There are items you can collect in the game, but instead of potions and power-ups, you collect things like bones. And these items are used for crafting. Yep, this game has crafting.
First we mine, then we craft. Let's Minecraft!
You collect these items and craft to make these things called aspects, which are stat buffs or new moves that you can equip to your figments. And when I say new moves, I really do just mean another variation of trying to time the bar in the middle of the screen again. But like now it has a different effect, so... And I know I'm kind of dunking on the battle system here, but when it comes down to it, the battle system's actually pretty well put together. Like the actual difficulty of the game scales decently, and it's fun to combine some strategies and move combinations. Pairing different figments together to see how they synergize is half the fun of the game. But outside of that, it is still very bare bones and generic. And it could probably use something special to help it stand out. One of the points that makes all of these Paper Mario-like so special is that they have these unique distinctions that are very reminiscent of the Paper Mario series. More specifically, the 1,000-Year Door. And unfortunately, the Outbound Ghost just misses a lot of those points. So mechanically, it's good, it's just not great. And it might sound like I'm being a little harsh on the game, and I do apologize for that because I try to find the fun in just about every single game that I play, though I hate to say it, but the battling kind of was the good part of the game. You want to know how the story goes? Because I'm going to tell you how the story goes. So first off, they got a narrator.
Outbound was always kind of a nice place to live.
Why is there narration?
The folks there kept themselves to themselves.
Like, to be fair, it's only at the beginning of the game and the very end of the game, so it's not there a lot, but like it still felt off to me. But let's get to the actual story, shall we? So you play as this ghost who just arrived in Outbound, but suffered amnesia and lost all of his memories. This character is nameless for the first 30 minutes before you finally get the opportunity to name them, but it doesn't really matter because later in the game he gets his memory back, and it replaces your given name with his actual name. So naming him means absolutely nothing. What's even worse is what his real name actually is. You want to take a guess at that too? Because you won't get it. His real name is Lee. Yeah, this man's government ID is Lee, Lee. I think his parents just hated him, right? That has to be the explanation. So it's probably for the best that you don't personally identify with this character because, truth be told, you don't even play as him for most of the game. According to the game's synopsis, there are 5 chapters. And you only play as Lee in Chapter 1. In Chapter 2, you play as Mary. In Chapter 4, you play as Adrian. And then that's technically the end of the game. And Chapter 5 is just free roaming as this night guy whose name I can't remember. But wait a second. Didn't you skip Chapter 3? That's what I thought! So truthfully, there are only 4 chapters in this game. However, the game labels them as Chapters 1, 2, 4, and 5. So if you look at the Steam achievements, they completely skipped over Chapter 3. At least they fixed it on PlayStation and have it only set to 4 chapters. But this is like a huge oversight. Like, how do you not know how to count to 5? I keep getting off track. We're talking about the story. Sorry. Story. All the ghosts in Outbound are stuck here in a purgatory as each ghost is held back by some sort of burden, and they can't ascend into the afterlife until they resolve that burden. Lee, who has amnesia, gets tracked down by Mary and her brother Michael. They think that Lee might be the mysterious serial killer, the one responsible for killing most of the ghosts now stuck in Outbound, but are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt as he doesn't have his memories. So their plan is to take him to Adrian, who also has amnesia, thinking the two might be related, to see if there was any connection. But once they meet up, Adrian starts getting headaches whenever he gets close to Lee. So to avoid the pain, Adrian goes on the run as Lee, Mary, and Michael follow close behind, trying to figure out more about this mystery. Now this sounds like a good setup. The idea of overcoming your burden to ascend actually reminds me a lot of Has Been Hotel. The idea that your sins can be redeemed if you resolve the burden that was holding you back. But the difference is, in the Outbound Ghost, nobody knows how to have a conversation. Everyone makes wild accusations and then doesn't stick around long enough for anyone to explain themselves. So that synopsis where I said Lee meets Adrian to try to see if there's a connection, and then Adrian runs away and Lee chases after him, that's the whole game. The entire game is chasing Adrian all around Outbound, which actually doesn't even make sense now that I think about it, because at the end of Chapter 1, Lee gets his memory back, and then he doesn't have any connection to Adrian anymore. So why are you still chasing him? This game makes no sense, man. Then when you finally do catch up to him at the end of Chapter 2, nothing gets elaborated or explained. Instead, it just ends right there. And then all of Chapter 3 is playing through everything Adrian experienced over the course of the game, but backwards. All the way back to the beginning of the game where Lee and Mary confront him. And then once you get to that point, the game just ends. Yeah. Like what? Like what was the point? I didn't learn anything. Nothing was resolved. It was quite literally a waste of time. Which sucks because the idea of this world and everything they set up could make a really cool adventure with twists and turns. Instead, you know what their big reveal was? Spoiler alert in case you ever plan on playing this game. I'm gonna give you 3, 2, 1. It turns out Adrian was the serial killer the whole time. Be shocked! I guess, because it doesn't actually add to the story. Like, this is my exact reaction to now knowing this information. I could almost forgive a lackluster story if the rest of it was any good, but the world itself just doesn't have a lot to explore. It's mostly a long linear path with small branches here and there with no additional side quests or activities. Maybe a few side bosses where you fight a new figment and add it to your collection, but that's about it. The world looks pretty, I'll give it that, you know, besides the orange hue, but the traversal is just super boring. And I'm just gonna put it plainly, the puzzles suck. All the puzzles in the rest of these games vary from location to location, utilizing the different abilities of your characters. In the Outbound Ghost, every puzzle is either light all of the torches or put all of the torches out. And that's not hyperbole. Every puzzle is a torch puzzle. Every single one. Torches. Okay, I lied. There's two types of puzzles actually, and the other one is this lockpick type of puzzle that is so easy a toddler could do it. And since there aren't that many puzzles to begin with, there isn't a good balance to the gameplay, and traversal is just traversal for the sake of traversal. And the list goes on and on about how this game is just unfortunately subpar to the others. The load times in and out of every battle take so long, I could make dinner, take the dog for a walk, and win a fight on Reddit before the loading is done. The loading takes so long, in fact, that the victory music ends and then loops and starts playing again before loading back into the overworld. We're about to see in real time how long some of these loading screens are, all right? Okay, just watch this. Bro, that felt like a lifetime. The graphics are constantly glitching in and out all over the map, and there are obvious spelling mistakes throughout much of the dialogue. Okay, is there like a joke I'm missing? Or is it just straight up they misspelled peace? Like, am I stupid or? Though I don't want to finish talking about this game just hounding it with negatives, because it does have some good qualities about it too. Like, the music goes pretty hard throughout the whole game. The variety of music does such a good job of perfectly matching the tone and setting of every encounter and area. So hats off to the music. Genuinely good. And although the writing of the story isn't that good, and I complain about how the characters just need to talk to each other, when it comes to side characters, the dialogue is pretty funny. When I was alive, my parents never let me follow my dreams. But now that I'm dead, it's all different. I can finally live as a mushroom. Yeah, okay, dude, whatever. There are some pretty good encounters that you can stumble across if you just talk to some of the random NPCs. I also like how you can scale the difficulty in different ways. If you find yourself behind on levels, make your EXP scale to 500%. If you're tired of chippy fights that take way too long, scale your damage to 500% too. And if you think the game is too easy, scale everything back and make the enemies hit harder. It's completely up to you. And I can never complain about an easy platinum trophy either. You get most of the trophies just from playing the game, and the last couple are really easy cleanups. I got everything in under 13 hours, but the best part is that post-game, you can have a capybara follow you around as your buddy. His name is Pumpkin!
But if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
So the Outbound Ghost is probably not worth your time as a Paper Mario fan, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have some redeeming qualities. In fact, the team behind it is currently remaking the game and calling it the Outbound Ghost Reborn, kind of similar to what Playtonic did with Yooka Replayly, basically making the same game, but cleaning up and fixing some of the major problems. Will it actually be enough to redeem it? I guess only time will tell. But hey, I wish them the best of luck and have high hopes for it. But I had to throw this one in here so you could really see the highs and the lows of like the Paper Mario likes. So let's just leave that one behind us and move to better ones, because the last two that I've got are they're just so much better. They're fantastic actually. Like, they're incredible. Okay, let's get into it. Hi, I'm Brett, and today we're gonna Oh, I'm sorry. I can't do this again. Partially because I did this gag before in the last video I made about this game, and partially because my dog won't stop begging for this. Oh, yeah, good boy. What a good boy. No, I don't have any more. It's all gone. You ate it all. I love him so much. The last video I made on this game was about my first impressions, and I've 100%ed the game, gotten the golden save file and the platinum trophy since then, so some of my thoughts since then have changed too. So let's get to it. The next game we have is Born of Bread, which is literally represented in the first 60 seconds of the game because your main character Loaf is a living, breathing loaf of bread. The timing of this creation couldn't be worse though, since Loaf and Papa Baker interrupted dinner the same time Jester and his goons showed up too. And now it just looks like Papa Baker is some sort of mad sorcerer who created some monsters in order to disrupt supper time. As you can tell, the story is absolutely chaotic, so just stick with me from here. Our main antagonist protagonist Jester is here from the past to collect sunstone shards and perform a ritual to bring back the old empire. All the while, Loaf and friends aim to clear Papa Baker's name and collect the sunstone shards first to stop him. You get a colorful cast of characters this time around, like Dub the Dragon. He is so cute and I love him to death. Maybe not as much as this guy. Although you wouldn't catch Dub licking himself halfway through the game now, would you? Yeah, right in front of my recording. Uh-huh. I love him. There's also Lint the raccoon, who's a small little guy we found lost in the forest because his family either forgot about him or simply they just hate him. Like, the forest is quite literally a linear path. If they wanted to find him, they probably could have. The only explanation for that is that they're directionally challenged. We have Yagi the goat, who we found stuck in a giant pit of glue like a cartoon character, and your fun fact for today is that the trap you find him in is entirely dependent on the dialogue choices that you choose at the beginning of the scene. I've beaten this game 3 times now, and this is the first time I noticed that it changes. His desire is to be the best fighter that he can, and has an ongoing feud with his childhood friend Kakoi. Chloe is the kid detective and also comes from the richest family in the world, probably. Her passion is to be the greatest detective ever, and encompasses my favorite chapter in the game, where you work with her to solve the mystery of Coldstock Manor. The butler did it, by the way. I mean, it's always the butler, so. And then lastly, we have Alfie, the hot one. Enemy turned ally in the latter half of the game, and has a grappling hook.
Grappling hook!
Which arguably makes her the best character in the game. I don't make the rules. Overall, the story and the characters are fairly good. They have their unique personalities and play off of each other well. There's even some fun references to other characters and stories with some of the NPCs. Like we have Belle from Beauty and the Beast, this bird and badger couple named Romiette and Julio, and you can even meet Jim, Michael, and Dwight from The Office. While all of those come from very different worlds, I gotta respect the creativity. But the real question is, how faithful is it to a Paper Mario-like? And the answer is that it lines up pretty well. The turn-based combat uses individual attack types that require some precision timing, the badges called boons add enough variety to create some strategy, and of course, everybody is flat like paper, which is kind of the soul of the genre, really. I mean, it'd be weird to call it a Paper Mario-like if they were just like, not made of paper, right? But the heart of the game comes from the slight changes that they made to the details of the formula. One of my favorite changes comes in the form of how your attacks are equipped. As opposed to having your attacks linked to badges, instead attacks are weapons that you hold in your inventory, and you have to align the weapons on a grid in order to equip them. It partially fuels that part of my brain that likes to organize everything and make it fit nicely, and it partially fuels the other part of my brain that really loves Resident Evil 4. All of the enemies also have weaknesses and resistances which coincide with your weapon type. Maybe the enemy is weak to an ice attack, but it resists sword type damage. So half of the strategy is learning which weapon type to use against which enemy, and then laugh at them when you hit them with a shish kebab because their weakness is food. My weakness is also food, so I get that. Leveling up got a slight alteration too. Instead of choosing between health, attack points, or a badge point, instead you get 2 choices now. The first one is either your attack or willpower, and the second is either to upgrade your weapon inventory space or your boon space. And no, I didn't miss anything. I know it says RP up in that corner over there, but the RP choices is for basically nothing. The special abilities you get from them aren't that good, and you can play the whole game without it and won't miss a thing. So it's really just HP and WP, really. Another creative choice they pulled right from the Thousand Year Door is the audience. Doing cool moves and appeasing the audience helps you more in battle. Though instead of being in front of a live group of people like in Paper Mario, Dub over here is live streaming it on his laptop to some unnamed website. Probably Twitch, hopefully not Kick, although this is a lot of violence, so it's most likely Kick, isn't it? But you can even see chat in the corner going off with some crazy messages. Where is the B? https://notascam.scam. I like Luna more. The weather here is nice. Who would ever pick Yagi?
Secret code to instantly win fight, Alt F4.
Hey sugar, I'm ready to geek out. Are you? Are the mods asleep? Early girl crush me please. And I personally don't remember this being there originally, but I guess in a later update they added some of the profile pictures to have pride and trans flags in them. So representation is always cool. I also love the way they allow you to level up your buddy characters. There's a ton of these lizards hidden throughout the entire game. Yes, I'm serious. No, this isn't a Pro ZD skit.
Don't forget to find all 800 eggs scattered throughout all the world. Is that optional? Yeah, sure, if you don't care about seeing the true ending. Alright, I guess I'll...
There's this inconspicuous sage that appears all over the world at these shrines. They ask you to locate their naughty little children who have hidden all over disguised as these lizards.
Lizard, 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 lizard.
And for every pair of 2 that you bring back, you earn a skill point. And you use these skill points to unlock new moves for your friends. If you fill a whole row, you get an additional stat bonus for them too, such as HP, attack, or defense. And this is a big one, you can sprint in this game. That's honestly a game changer. Maybe this is an ice cold shivering take, but all of these games should have some sort of sprint feature. I know the Outbound Ghost, you have this little boost and it's kind of obnoxious to look at after a while. And in Bug Fables, Kabu does that like charge thing. But I'm looking for just a general hold a button and move slightly faster than normal. Is that too much to ask? Okay, but the best feature, and I'm not kidding when I say this, okay, I'm kidding a little bit. The best feature has to be gluten-free mode. It's this tiny little option in the settings, and all it does is change the name of some of the items to say that they're gluten-free. And that's all it does. Literally doesn't do anything else. But the fact that it exists, I think, is a testament to the extra care and fun the developers are adding to the game. You can tell that they enjoyed making this, adding in things that they thought would be funny. And if that doesn't prove it, maybe the fact that you can pet every single animal that you come across does. Who's a good panda? Who's a good boy? So maybe you can tell from all of the gushing I've already done, but I really do like this game a lot. However, I do also recognize that it does come with a lot of faults too. Like for instance, the difficulty of the game. Well, I definitely wouldn't use the word difficult to describe it, that's for sure. Like, it's not that big of an issue. It's okay to have a casual time gaming, but the game goes from kind of chippy, where you can't even take out the weakest enemies in one hit, to having Yagi's fire attack and the firebomb wombo combo to take out every group of enemies from here to Delaware. Not to mention that if you find the best weapons and use the best boons, you can beat the final boss in like 4 turns. That's not a joke, like it was literally 4 turns. Which also brings up another shortcoming of this game. It's kind of short. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door on average takes about 30 hours to finish, and I just recently completed Born of Bread in just over 10. And I even did some extra side quests and buffoonery before going to the final boss. And I still finished it in about 10 hours. I'm not kidding when I say speedrunners are out here finishing the entire game in just over an hour. Not with any like major sequence breaks or skips or anything, they just do it. It sometimes takes me that long to get out of bed in the morning. But more than any of that, the biggest sin that this game commits is the fact that it was never fixed. Like, you could excuse everything else if you want to argue that it's just a smaller game for a smaller experience. But the amount of bugs and glitches the game has can easily ruin someone's time, even if it is something small like a couple of typos. Like, how do you misspell leaf? It's right there at the top of the chat bubble! Or maybe the fact that it doesn't matter what your buddy's health is because they are never targeted. Like, ever. But there are absolutely much bigger issues with the game, and those are worth pointing out. Like how I accidentally broke this cutscene so it never played correctly. It was kind of funny to mess with the camera, but I didn't really know what to do, so I just kind of moved to the right until I hit the loading screen and loaded up the next area. But it also means that nothing past this point of the game loaded correctly, so I walked right into Cold Stock Manor without ever meeting Chloe. Which is crazy because when I talk to her brother, she'll pop up to give her piece of dialogue, but when I check my buddy page, you can see I had never met her before. I've never met this woman in my life. All of these are fixable problems, yet it's been 2 years and they're still there. But don't get me wrong, it could be way worse. Like when the game first came out, some of the boons were just unattainable. So at least they fixed it since then so you can actually complete the game now. So aside from literally breaking a cutscene and soft locking the game forever, my next biggest issue is that I can use this hardy fruit over and over again infinite times to get a bunch of health for free. And I guess if I had to provide any annoyances with the game, it would have to be that the final chapter is just way shorter than all the rest. Like, it's literally a straight line for maybe 10 minutes, and then the final boss. Oh, and I have another one actually. My other grievance is that both the boon to see enemy health and the ability to carry more health items are both linked to side quests. And I don't remember which side quests those were. So when I did my most recent playthrough of this game for this video, I had neither of those, which definitely made it feel like a bit lesser of an experience if we're being honest. But something else I did for the first time during this playthrough was making sure I finished all of my buddy's special side quests before completing the final chapter. I helped Lint find his family, I helped Yagi find peace with his rival and gain a new friend, I helped Chloe solve the case of the missing deeds while also uncovering the truth behind the Gray Fox, and I assisted Alfie in finding her long lost guitar and experienced her learning a little compassion. By completing each of these quests, your friend gains their ultimate move, which greatly helps in battle, so these are well worth doing just for that, but more so, getting these done before finishing the game gives you alternate dialogue for each character when you talk to them before the credits. So if you want the good ending or whatever, you should probably do these quests first. But I will hand it to this game. As short as the story is, the hunt for collectibles, the search for secrets, and finishing all the side quests will last you quite a few more hours. So it is, if anything, a well-rounded game. It's just a few bug fixes away from being great, and a couple added chapters in the middle away from being fantastic. But the small journey it did provide was a pretty good time. It also has this poster that references Bug Fables, and that is incredibly based, so it gets bonus points for that. My recommendation is, I don't know, probably just wait for it to go on sale or something, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, so definitely better than the Ghost one. But we do have one more game to talk about, so don't go anywhere, because this one might actually be the best one yet. I have to take a second before we start this section to tell you how excited I've been to talk about this game all video long.
And now I finally get to do it!
Escape from Ever After is what happens when you take all the elements of a Paper Mario-like game and then add the story of a Paper Mario game. It's so inspired by Paper Mario that I'm pretty sure this is just a Goomba. Like, full stop. That's a Goomba. I was excited to play this game when I first heard about it, but after going to play the demo back in October, I knew that this was going to be something special. And I was even offered a key an entire month before the release date. So yeah, if you are watching this video before the game actually comes out on January 23rd, here's your first look. The game follows your main character Flint Buckler, who's the protagonist of his storybook where he fights a giant dragon named Tinder. And yeah, we'll get all the jokes out of the way right now. Wow, I can't believe they named the dragon after the dating app. I wouldn't mind finding Tinder on Tinder. I bet half the fan base would be swiping right on her. I love my wife very much and I'm not attracted to this cartoon dragon, I promise. Things take a twist when Ever After Inc. takes over Tinder's castle and uses it as their corporate headquarters for their business. Their business involves repurposing storybook characters and worlds to add longevity to their stories. Obviously, a lot of the storybook characters aren't going to be a fan of that, so that's why Flint and Tinder team up to try to take the company down from the inside, as well as make some new friends along the way. We've got Wolfgang, the musical wolf, whose lute has mystical effects on the environment, Eva, the villainous witch that can transform any animal she sees, and the expert hacker Patches, whose backstory is definitely not what it seems. Also, he punches like really hard. The main story is a fun satire on the crooked corporate structure, and there are many knocks at that throughout the game. I want to burn this company to the ground. You're absolute joker, you crack me up. I love a good sense of humor. Like specifically when they talk about how corporate stink ruins stories that we all know and love. It's almost like it's relevant. But writing a story is only as good as the characters you place within them. And whether you're focusing on the main characters interacting off of each other, or the unique side characters and their personalities, the character writing and world building is top tier. Even the characters outside of your party resurface all throughout the story so you get a good feel for this world. Plus, the tone of the game absolutely heightens the experience too. It's a storybook world with storybook characters, so the tone is always fun and whimsical. There's bright colors, fun jingles, and all the sarcasm you can handle. But most of all, it's imaginative. The first world you visit is the typical story of the three little pigs and the big bad wolf, but this version is anything but typical. The three little pigs are the bad guys in this story, and the big bad wolf just lives peacefully in the woods with his fellow wolves. In fact, the big bad wolf is a musician in this world, and I have posters of him all over my office. Also, you have a customizable office, and that's just a lot of fun. Like, they didn't have to add that, but they did. It's one of those things that makes the game great. There's several worlds that hold the same tone, but even outside of the story, there's a ton of side quests to keep the world growing. Whether you're tending errands around the office, running an obstacle course, or going on a fetch quest that spans throughout every world in the game, the side quests absolutely enhance the experience. There's this one quest that has you visit Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother, who turns hostile and tries to kill you with flaming cookies. Like that's awesome. And then if you're really keen about getting 100%, there's a series of side quests from each world that you can complete to give you an achievement for the true ending at the end of the game. Plus, the gameplay segments are so well balanced too. Just like with Bug Fables, the game does an excellent job of evening out your time spent between story, fighting, and puzzles. And I have to point out, these are some of the best puzzles I've seen in any of these games, hands down. There's a good handful of them that you're not going to solve just by looking at and have to fiddle with it a bit until that light bulb moment hits. It's one of those games that genuinely makes you feel smart for solving a puzzle. It's not just an obstacle, it's a learning experience. I might be hyping this game up a little too much, but I promise it's that good. Like, there's specifically this one book where the whole first area is just one big puzzle, and it leads to trying to sort out the order of this food. And at this point, every single time I close my eyes, all I see is pumpkins, cheese, beets, oh, and the fish. But where does the carrot go? Carrot has to be on the left, but the cheese has to be touching the bread. But the bread can't be on the side. The fish has to be on the side. Oh, but what about the beet? The beet can't be next to the bread. Where does the carrot go again? But of course, the most iconic part of any Paper Mario-like is the battling. And I have to say, I feel like they nailed it. They brought back the first strike, so getting that first hit to start a battle goes a long way. Once again, you only get 2 characters to use in battle, but they let you use your first turn to be able to swap out any character you want. Matter of fact, you don't need Flint Buckler in your party whenever you're battling. So unlike Paper Mario, you can swap any of your buddies to have them work together. And this opens up all sorts of combinations to try to best match the types of enemies you're battling against. So honestly, huge +1 for the game in that sense. Enemy types and combinations are a huge part of the strategy too, and how you approach each fight. Sometimes they'll have shields that you either have to remove or burn, or maybe you use a piercing attack to hit through the shield, or perhaps you use an attack to hit them from above, or even behind. Then you have enemies that are stacking on top of each other, so you equip the special attack that lets you hit all of them at once. Or maybe you've seen anglerfish attach themselves to other enemies to heal them every turn, so now you have to specifically target them first. And every character you add to your team comes equipped with new and different abilities to help every combat scenario. Every attack from each character feels distinct, so you never feel like you're repeating the same thing over and over again. Unlike another game that we talked about today. Bar. Flint's shield ricochets back, and instead of timing it with the impact on the enemy, you have to time it on the rebound to throw it again. And that's a unique attack pattern I haven't seen before. And then of course there's badges in this game too that come in the form of trinkets, and they're used to add attack, defense, and all sorts of other special boosts. But most importantly, adds a wider library of attacks for each character to use. And I have to say, easily the best badge in the game is the one that allows you to swap through all of your characters freely within the first 3 turns. Usually you can only do the first turn for free, but as long as this badge is equipped to any character, you can have your first couple guys lay in some damage, and by turn 3, put in a fresh pair of legs. I cannot emphasize enough how goated that one trinket is. It's like the LeBron James of trinkets. It's like the Lionel Messi of trinkets. It's like the raspberry drizzled cheesecake of trinkets. And of course, you can't forget about the leveling system, and it's just the way everyone likes it. Every level up gives you an option between more HP, MP, or a trinket slot. Also, the MP in this game is short for Mocha Points, and all of your MP items are coffee related, which is not only a funny idea on its own, but plays more into the corporate office feel. And you even end up using coffee machines to restore your health throughout the game. Although I will try to get in front of some of the concerns that people probably have, and one of them I'm almost certain is the difficulty scaling. I know Paper Mario fans love their hard battles, so rest assured, the game does have some difficulties. Like, one of the small problems with Born of Bread is how easy most of the game was. And while this game skews a little bit easier, it definitely has some challenges with many bosses. One of them is the Duckster fight towards the end of Chapter 2, where you have to balance dealing damage to Duckster, but also making sure the heart behind him doesn't fully heal itself. Because if it does, he ends the fight instantly. Yeah, I get it. Oh, I'm dead. That's rough, buddy. Though a majority of the difficulty spike definitely shows at the end of the game in a couple of the battles that I won't fully spoil, but just know that it took me a lot of items to get through that board of directors. And for the ultimate challenge, this game has its own version of the Pit of 100 Trials. It's called the Stairs to Success, and it actually is 100 battles this time. What's at the very top, you may ask? I don't know, because I only got up to 70 floors before I realized 2 hours had passed and I was going to be late to meet with my friends. And I am so sorry, Noah, for making you wait. Plus, you could just play the game on hard mode. It has a harder difficulty, and you get an achievement for beating the game on that difficulty, so you might as well. But even after all of that is said and done, you can still try to find all of the sun gems, all of the ink bottles, fill up the bestiary, and buy all of the outfits in the shop. I'm fond of the dog hat personally. It's so cute! Maybe the axolotl hat. I can't decide. They're both good. But I'll tell you what, no game is perfect. We all know it, so let's touch upon some of the downsides. Luckily, there aren't that many. There's some, but not many. And the biggest one is honestly just the small visual cleanups. I don't even know if it's something I can solidify as an issue because once the game comes out, they might all be fixed. So just know that this parrot not going back to its spot right away might not be in the version of the game that you play. I do have like one small annoyance in the story, and it has to do with like a betrayal and a breakup in the latter half of the game. Like a third act breakup is such a cliche in most stories, but at least in this sense, I'll give it to them. I understand the motivation this character had, and they don't dwell on the third act breakup very long, so it's not like you really have to deal with it for any portion of the story. When you play it, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. Otherwise, the last and only problem I have is that the game is just slightly smaller than some of these others. Not by much, but it is. Granted, the 1,000-Year Door is so massive, it would be ridiculous to think that any of these games could even scratch the surface. Bug Fables came pretty close with its massive world to explore, countless side quests, and extensive strategies with their badge usage. Escape from Ever After has a bit less than Bug Fables, but it still has more than any of the others that I could find. To put it into perspective, I finished Bug Fables in about 19 hours, and I finished Escape from Ever After in just under 17. So when you look at it, both of these are great value for what they offer. And one thing that Escape from Ever After excels at, even more than Bug Fables, is its attention to detail and its pure world building. I would genuinely put it above Bug Fables in both of those categories. I literally did not want to stop playing because I always wanted to know where the story was going next, and I didn't dare skip any dialogue because I just loved hearing what every character had to say. While Paper Mario likes have always encouraged you to talk to all the NPCs, this was one of those games that I truly wanted to go out of my way to see every piece of dialogue in the game. Escape from Ever After has to be one of the most fun experiences I've had playing any of these games, and easily one of my favorite games of the new year. It's written so well and thinks of just about everything. Like there's an actual in-universe explanation for why the main character is such a generic bland guy. I won't spoil it, but it's pretty good. So once again, I cannot recommend this game enough. It's easily one of the best Paper Mario likes out there, and I truly hope it's something that can help reignite this genre. And if anything, I pray that it inspires other studios to step up and try their hand at this genre too. So play it. Like, it's really good. No, like it's so good. And now the time you've all been waiting for, we're gonna rank them. And to do this as fair as possible, we're gonna start out with the only S rank on the list, and that's the 1,000-Year Door, because you can't beat the GOAT. Many have tried, but I doubt any will ever reach that status. Coming down to A rank, we have both Bug Fables and Escape from Ever After. Bug Fables is easily the most complete game here, with the most to do and the most hours in it. The writing and story are still good, and I thoroughly enjoyed my playthrough and have still been playing it after I've been done with this video. And then Escape from Ever After is the newcomer. There's less in that game, but it's still longer than like Born of Bread. But the reason why it contends with Bug Fables is purely from the writing and the world building. It is literally Paper Mario level when it comes to its story and writing. Down in B we have Born of Bread, B for bread, and B for buggy because yeah, it is a very, very buggy game and still hasn't been fixed. It's a smaller and easier game too, but it's still a lot of fun. Like, I enjoyed it enough to 100% it, and it has its own little community of people who still love and enjoy playing it to this day. And then we're gonna skip C tier, and we're going down to D tier with the Outbound Ghost here. A lot of potential, misses on almost every single point. It almost didn't make it into this video because of how different it is from all of the other Paper Mario likes, but it was like just enough for me to slide it in there, and it wasn't that good. And if you've gotten this far into the video, right now leave a comment and let me know what your favorite Paper Mario like game is. And if the answer is just the 1,000-Year Door, then it's the 1,000-Year Door, because it's still a banger. Otherwise, like and subscribe because it goes a long way, especially if you want to see more videos like this, because I am constantly going over all sorts of different games on this channel. Speaking of, over here, I got the Platinum Trophy on every Sly Cooper game, and on this side, I played through every single 3D Sonic game on the GameCube. But thank you for watching. I'm gonna go actually play more Escape from Ever After. I haven't finished the 100 floors yet, and I kind of want. I really like that game, guys. Okay, I'm turning it off now. Leave a like.